All right, so we're back with another episode of the Real Podcast. We're doing a little bit of a special, a one-shot on Black Dynamite. As usual, I'm your host, Bam.
And Marcus.
And we have two special guests with us today, up from the original one, which I'm pretty excited about. And the first time we've had a woman on the Real Podcast. So, glass ceiling, prepare to be broken. Anyways, first off.
I'm Edward.
I'm his wife, and thus I come along with him.
Exactly. She doesn't even have a name, guys. She's Ed's wife. I guess we haven't really cracked that glass ceiling.
No, well, we have to see how well this goes, and then I might give a name. But otherwise, I want to keep the anonymity like the waitress does on Sunny. Yeah, if you could, like, somehow bubble out my face so that, like, all I am is a hand.
Hello?
There we go.
Oh, there you
Stop clicking buttons, Ed.
You don't need to worry about that. We just ripped the audio from there. They won't see your face at all.
Oh, yes.
So
I can stop holding my hand in front of my face awkwardly.
What the hell is going on? There we go. Okay, good. Now, don't touch anything. We're good. All right. So, like I said, we're going to talk about Black Dynamite today. And I think Ed left. Oh, he's back. Great. This is terrible. All right, guys, seriously. All right, so we're going to talk about Black Dynamite today because they watched it yesterday night, and I love that movie. Talk about it. And more importantly, I wanted to get Ed's wife's opinion on it. So I'm really excited to get that on video and audio. Anyways, so we're just going to jump right into it, and I'm going to cut most of that nonsense out when I actually put it out so you guys will never hear any of this. Anyways, I just wanted to really quickly start with the same question I asked before, which is, at the beginning of the movie, like, the intro is this, like, commercial for Anaconda Malt Liquor. Like, what did you guys think of that? Like, for the movie to have started like that, as your first introduction to the film, how did you guys feel about that being the first thing you see in Black Dynamite? Anybody can talk now besides me.
Okay, yeah, I know.
It definitely sets the tone of the movie because the whole tone of the movie, it's just, it's so cheesy. The guy's going, Anaconda Malt Liquor. It's just like, what's going on? And then, the girls, is that Anaconda Malt Liquor, the only malt liquor to be approved by the United States government? Why? It's like, what's going on here with that?
He just got that verbatim right now. He didn't even have to, like, look that up. He had it on. He knows. He knows that is how it goes.
Well, we just said it, actually. We've been having a little bit of technical difficulties, guys. That's why, like, so we talked about it a little bit, so we're just kind of regurgitating it now. So Ed's not special. We just said
okay, so he has no specialized knowledge. All right. I'm like, wow, that's really impressive, Ed, that you knew that, like, just off the top of your head.
Oh, man, I took away anything that you might have thought that was beneficial about your husband. I feel terrible about that.
Shattered my illusions. That's the only thing being shattered. Screw you, glass ceiling. Screw you.
Said the woman whose name we have yet to find out.
Yeah. You gotta see how this goes first, alright?
Exactly. At the end, you guys might be privy to the name of Ed's wife. Exactly. And if you are, then you'll consider yourselves lucky because we passed the test. So, no, that's awesome. And then, like, I love that immediately following that, we get that amazing scene of Black Dynamite's brother trying to pose as, like, a drug dealer. And he has the worst, like, fake drug dealer voice. Like, what are you jive turkeys playing at? I'm no snitch. Like, it's so...
We never said you did.
Wait, why are we talking about snitching? Who said that?
I love that immediately after that they shoot him like 6 times, and then he has to check for a pulse afterwards. So he is 50 Cent. Like, seriously, he's dead. Like, that's great. All right,
now they will. The streets will run red with the blood.
Like, do you know how what this means?
Well, I know, but I believe you're going to exposition us now.
And having said that, like, how do you think about the immediately following thing, which is our first introduction to Black Dynamite, which is the guy saying, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming, and it's him fucking 3 different women? It's like, so great, oh my god. And then immediately following that, not to just, like, give you guys a play-by-play of the movie, but after they have sex, like, the girls are like, that was the best lovemaking I ever had. And he's like, shut up, you'll wake up the other bitches. And there's like 5 women in his bed that he had sex with.
I like that it's a multiracial shot, so it's not just black women at this particular point. There's some Asian thrown in there.
and a white woman, and we
And
got
a
to see
white
all
woman.
of their movies.
And two mystery women.
Yes, and well, they look black from that one woman's legs, I think, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Yeah.
Phil, you're right.
But
It's
there's,
nice.
there's a certain degree of blackness in this film. Like, there's just a lot of, like the girl who actually plays Gloria, who's on Eureka, which is what I recognized her from.
Oh.
I don't know if that's, I think it's the girl from Eureka. She looks very different. But she plays this, like, interesting character. But I'm like, is she really black? I feel like this is not the degree of blackness that Black Dynamite needs.
Hey, maybe they're going on the gradient from Seal to Seal's team.
Like, if I were to order you at Starbucks, what type of coffee would you be?
Chai latte.
Chai latte.
Shut up, Slim Dog.
It's a Blanco. Let's not get racist on the real podcast.
Okay.
No, so that, I mean, I really love his introduction. I mean, and then immediately after that, he kicks a door down in front of like a really old lady to get some money back from some douche. Like, there are so many amazing scenes in this movie. Marcus and I were talking about, because we watched it this afternoon to get ready for the podcast. One of the things I love the most about this movie is there's a scene where Chicago Wind is driving away from Black Dynamite, and he flies off a cliff in his Porsche, and it's a completely different car that flies off the cliff.
It's like a blue.
It's like stock footage. What stock footage did they pull that from?
And then, even better, later there's a montage of them cleaning up the streets, and he has this helicopter with a magnet attached, and he picks up a car and throws it off a cliff, and it's the same footage of a car falling again. So it's like so low budget, they recycled the same stock footage of not the right car both times. Like, the way that they were able to homage that is really incredible to me. So, like, a few other things I want to talk about that I really enjoyed. What did you guys think of, like, the like ridiculous names they had for everybody, like Cream Corn, Bullhorn? Like, the characters are so awesome in that movie. Is there anyone that you guys would say is your favorite character out of all of them?
Oh
like,
my god, I gotta say Cream Corn was up there.
I definitely like Bullhorn just because he rhymes.
Yeah, like
everything he says is rhymes.
I told Marcus that was the reason why he was my favorite character too, and I love the scene where they're in Chicago Wind's pool hall, and he's fighting that dude, and he slaps him, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And then they cut, and it's him punching him in the face. It's so great. It's like that scene from Chappelle's Show where they're doing the Roots parody, and he smacks him in the face like, "Well, I didn't kick your ass." That's great. So, like, the other thing I wanted to talk about is one of the best things about, like, exploitation movies is how absurd their plot lines are. What did you guys think of the plot line that, in the end, everything was about how Richard Nixon was so insecure he wanted to make black people have smaller penises to get himself to feel better about himself?
Well,
like,
now that you guys have reiterated the entire beginning of this, and now it makes sense that it's the only one endorsed by the U.S. government. That is like right there. If you were paying enough attention to that, you're like, foreshadowing. Bam.
Big time.
Speaking of foreshadowing, what did you guys think of the scene where they figure that out? Where they have all this like completely irrelevant crap, like, and the guy, like, who makes M&Ms? Mars Company. And if you take that and you reverse it and you'd make it Greek, what does that make it? Like,
And who's that?
Ed had to pause it, and he was like, "This is the best part in the movie, and here's why."
There are a lot of little things that like persist in that movie. One of the things I didn't notice the first few times I watched it that I noticed last time was, like when I watched it this afternoon, was earlier in the movie they go to Roscoe's like donuts and chili or something like that. And he's like, "This is getting tired." And then when they're
Don't wear alligator shoes.
Yeah. Well, no. What happens is Roscoe says like the chili and donuts thing isn't really working for him, and then in the scene where they're trying to figure out like the Anaconda malt liquor thing, he's in the background, and when she's like, "Well, we have waffles and we have some chicken from last night," and Roscoe goes, "That's it," and he runs out the door, and that's how.
Chicken and waffles.
I definitely missed that.
That was really funny. So I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a really funny little reference that I didn't catch the first time. And that's like there's a few things like that like are little tidbits that come in. Like I told Marcus one of the things I thought was really great is the sex scene between Gloria and Black Dynamite, where it's like
Zodiac.
the cartoon sex, like, and then the like
Zodiac
weird astrological signs for some reason, Aries, Pisces, like Gemini, like. Did you guys get that? Because I didn't understand how astrological signs had anything to do with them fucking. Like,
I was like, well, first of all, you're Indian, so let's go to the Kama Sutra first to look at these positions and see if they're actually related to the zodiac in every way.
We're gonna find out upon further reflection that that's the name of the weird ass positions that we're having sex in.
I think the sex positions are supposed to mimic like what the image actually is.
Kind of like they do in Mahjong. They make like the ram tiles. This is the ram sex position.
Oh, is that what it's supposed to be? I didn't catch that. So.
Yeah. All the different. Yeah.
Clearly, it was over your head. Obviously.
Listen, I'm a delicate flower. Things like that completely are lost on me. Okay, like as far as I'm concerned, all men and women do with each other is hold hands and sometimes do picnics. Okay, that's as far as I get. All right. My life is filled with picnics.
Oh my God, there literally is. If you Google this, there is a zodiac sign sex position chart. Oh my word!
They went through it.
They obviously
the
they
whole
did
one.
this.
You're
Oh
ready
my God,
to
they
go
literally
podcast first,
did
guys.
it.
Zodiac sign sex positions. That's
Yup.
what this is all
It
about.
totally is. That's exactly what they did.
That's awesome. And
The more
Black
you know.
Diamond is even more amazing. Well, all right. So there's a few other things I want to talk about. What about what do you guys think about the fight scene between Richard Nixon and Black Dynamite dueling nunchucks?
I think there should be a drinking game in which whenever a nunchuck is pulled, you take a shot, because that would be an amazing drinking game, first of all. But he has presidential nunchucks. Let's just talk about that.
Okay,
There were presidential nunchucks?
I was joking around with Marcus earlier on during the film where the first time Black Dynamite pulls out his nunchucks and starts beating people up, I was like, thank God those whores oiled it up and replaced the ball bearings. Otherwise, it might have been a very different fight for him. Like, what would happen if he had a non-oiled, rusty set of ball bearings on those nunchucks? Would a piece of it just like fly right off? Like a person could have gotten his eye pulled out. Like, thank God it was oiled and ball bearings were replaced on it. Like, thank God for that. Also, what do you think about?
Constantly stretched to do some of those kicks. Let's just recall that.
I'm sorry, he's like a third-degree black belt, Michael Jai White. Like he
Yeah,
can actually.
I did hear that, and in actuality, that he is. But he can do it in a leisure suit, so.
Speaking of the leisure suit, what did you guys think of the costumes for like this like low-budget period '70s movie? I thought it was really awesome the way they were able to capture like exactly how those shitty outfits would have looked. And I love when he goes into he sneaks in through like a vent, like a nicely unopened vent into the White House, and he goes to the White House powder room and takes off his like sneaker to put on like a straight up pimp outfit. It's all hot stuff. I love that.
White House powder room.
Yeah. I love that the door says White House powder room. Like you wouldn't know you were in the powder room of the White House being in the White House. They don't label that door.
Nope. But once again, the spirit of Abraham Lincoln is really what saves his life.
Yes, it is.
What's that say overall?
It's not that Lincoln wanted to save Black Dynamite's life. He just didn't think it was okay for anyone to be using John Wilkes Booth's gun again. That gun could never fire at another person ever again, as far as Abraham Lincoln's concerned.
Really? You don't think it was about how he took that time to emancipate the slaves, so let's not be shooting people.
I don't know if he really appreciated the fact that Black Dynamite said he's going to emancipate and proclamate his ass. So. What do you guys think about the ending where Black Dynamite apologizes to Richard Nixon's wife for pimp slapping her into a china cabinet?
Because even though she shot at him, she did not hit him.
Yes, had she hit him, maybe the pimp slap would have been justified. But as it stands, she did not, so it wasn't. It's so awesome. That soliloquy at the end is amazing. Like, had you connected, the pimp slap might have been justified.
I think it's interesting the two poses they take at the base of his legs. They're just like clutching his legs, and he's just, standing there talking to no one.
Oh, come on. I think that if that's what weirded you out, you should really be wondering if he's in an empty room with two bitches that are on his legs, why is he pulling out nunchucks and a giant fucking cannon? Like, who's he going to shoot at while he's telling him that bold statement that no one but those two girls hear?
Well, and honestly, after he, is done with Nixon, he's walking down, he kind of does that as an afterthought. Like, should I stop and talk to her? I guess I'll take the time. It's really going to weigh on my conscience if I don't.
I don't know how much is going to weigh on his conscience, consider Bullhorn's head got decapitated by a metal decapitation.
And he's holding it. You say soliloquy. Was that a little bit of a Hamlet moment where he's just saying, alas, poor Yorick?
Oh, yes.
Or Bullhorn?
To be or not to be. not
to
to
be.
be.
Lotions.
What do you guys think about an actual place called Kung Fu Island being in this movie?
Yeah. Kung Fu Island. I was like, is this like going to, go to a Jurassic Park type theme here, where there's just an old man that wakes you and welcome to Kung Fu Island.
Well, you didn't get that, but you did get an old man, and his name was the Fiendish Dr. Wu.
Yes, the Fiendish Dr. Wu.
The Fiendish Dr. Wu.
And I love that. So the Fiendish Dr. Wu fights in Wu Silk style, and Black Dynamite's response is Black Dynamite Panther Fists. He's got Black Panther fists, guys. It's so awesome and racist.
What I don't understand too is, they talk about all the time they did in Vietnam together, Vietnam, and then he's talking about the little Chinese boy and how he spoke to him in Chinese, and I'm like, do you not know you were in Vietnam?
I noticed that.
Like,
Marcus said the same thing. He goes, I love how he goes, he's speaking Chinese, and they were in Vietnam.
I'm just like, you're in Vietnam.
Not even in China.
Remember, guys, if you ever wanted to know what Boku Sai Sao means, it means why Black Dynamite? Why? So which word in Boku Sai Sao do you guys think means dynamite? Is it the Sao? I think it's I also like the reoccurring joke of O'Leary always referencing what Black Dynamite does to him as being like some nom like carryover, like oh the old pie in the windowsill.
That's when you left me for dead and because I can follow orders.
A lot of people. I noticed that a lot of people. I was just following orders. I was just following orders.
Well, Leary says he's not the top. He's following orders yet again.
Well, I mean, I think the implication is that that's all white people are good for. So you guys are just good at following orders.
Oh, come on.
I've always felt like a sheep.
About it. That's all the white people use as excuses for what they do. Oh, and the Asian dude. So at least it's multicultural conformity.
Yeah. Those Asians.
They'll conform to anything. They will. They have no shame. Those Asians. They'll conform to anything.
I thought this was supposed to be a non-racist.
That's true. This is a racist-free podcast. I take it back. I apologize to Asians.
You cannot be racist with Black Dynamite. Racism is the issue in that film.
What did Vietnam ever do to Black Dynamite for them to have reflected so harshly on that time period? Okay. So,
you got
moving
black
on.
guy calling Vietnamese people Chinese. You got every other black woman's calling somebody a honky. The N-word gets dropped several times.
What do you guys think about that one dude that's getting interrogated continually calling black people coons?
Yeah. Oh my god. Why would you do that if you've been hit that many times?
I love that he's like, you coon, whack with a nunchuck. All right, I'll tell you.
It actually reminds me a lot of a sketch we did with Chevy Chase and Richard Pryor on SNL, where they did like the N-word and then he would be like honky and then he would be like double honky, like, because there is just no other level to the word.
Honky's as high as it gets?
Honky is as low as you go with the whites.
Oh man, you guys are. Apparently there's a floor on that thing, and it's honky.
I thought it was Blanco.
No, that's you. That's not a racist designation for white people. I don't understand how that's even mildly racist. I call Marcus Queso Blanco, which obviously means white cheese, because he calls
I call him chai latte.
Because
dog.
Because he's really mean to me. All I want to do is love you, Marcus. Why would you love me? And that's completely irrelevant, so I'll cut that out too. No, seriously though. So moving on, a few other things. One of the things I really loved is that there's no subtlety to this movie whatsoever. Like Marcus and I were talking about the soundtrack. The soundtrack is literally narrating what's happening with no rhyme whatsoever to like
somebody broke into his brother's apartment. What are you gonna do?
He could still be there. It's so bad. Oh, God. Every song in that movie is essentially them telling what's happening as a background like thing to him walking and doing something. Like it's just ridiculous. I also love that they constantly do the ridiculous thing of him having a revolver and shooting 40 bullets out of it.
I was wondering if we were counting how many bullets at some point, or if it was like a magical gun. Like
it's a Hollywood clip.
It's a Hollywood clip. That's what it is.
Yeah, nice. It's magic.
One thing I really like that is like the overtop bad the forcefully done, badly done cinematography and editing.
Oh,
So-
definitely.
So
Definitely.
Boom, Mike.
in the beginning with Honeybee, every other shot she has a tear. So the first shot she has a tear, thank you, Black Dynamite. Next shot in the same conversation, her face is dry, and as soon as it goes back, her tear is. And I want to watch it again just to see if like the other shots, you know, later in the movie with Honeybee, if she still has a tear alternating every shot she's in.
That'd be awesome. I didn't even think about that.
You know what I want to address the fact that this man is obviously having unprotected sex with all of these women, and he's like, my mom says my dad's name is Black Dynamite. My dad's name is.
Too. All right, little girls, don't blame
A lot of people have that name.
Yes. So do you think that, like, eventually when he gets to the next generation, he's just gonna be like, and what did your mother say your father's name was?
Black Dynamite. You remember that scene in Kindergarten Cop where that girl's like, our mom says our dad's a real sex machine. That sex machine they're referring to is Black Dynamite.
It's so true.
Another thing I wanted to talk about, one of the scenes I really enjoyed, but first I wanted to talk a little bit about what Ed mentioned. In that same scene with Honeybee and the tear, I love how the boom mic is visible above Black Dynamite's head, and he actually whacks it, and you hear the noise of
And
his
he
head
looks at it
hitting.
too. He's
It
like,
like hits him, and he's like looking back and forth between the mic and Honeybee. It's like
Yeah, it's
going everywhere. It's like
you hear the noise of his head hitting the boom mic. Like at one point, his afro smacks it, and it goes poof, and you hear it on the soundtrack. It's so great. But a scene I really like, and actually it's a scene that I've like quoted before on like Facebook and Twitter, is I love the scene where all of the pimps like group up in like the pimp cabal. You know what I'm talking about? And they have like really absurd names like Chocolate Giddy Up and like Willie and like Crenshaw Pete and stuff like that. Like, and I live when Black Dynamite walks in and he goes, I am declaring war on drugs in the community. And Chocolate Giddy Up's like, but Black Dynamite, I sell drugs in the community.
What?
What do you think about like this idea that there are pimps and there's this like super cop that's like okay with them pimping, but he's like against drugs in the community because
Well, you know, Black Dynamite is not gray dynamite. You know, he doesn't. You know, he has a code, but it's not overly subtle there. Obviously, I don't know why all of a sudden was it just because of his mom and the promises that drugs became a thing all of a sudden, or what?
drugs became a thing because they got to the orphanage and he was an
Ah,
orphan.
yes, the orphanage. That's right, and he used to be an orphan.
Yes.
after his mom
And
died.
his mom
be an
died.
orphan.
I was an orphan.
That's the other thing I want to mention. I
The
love
orphan's coming up for snacks now. Like, they come up to him and be like, "Can you get me some smack?"
He goes, put some of these girls on the street. You'll make your bread. Like, it's so
Yeah.
good. I also love that in the flashbacks, like when he's like, I was an orphan, and it flashes back, and the kid's making fun of him. He goes, you ain't got no mama, you ain't got no daddy, you're an orphan, Black Dynamite, and then he throws them all out a window. Dynamite.
I like how he, when in one of the fight scenes, he goes and he closes the door and he flips the clothesline and he takes the time to block off the storefront. Yet that one window must have escaped notice. And it wasn't covered by anything.
Well, he's shutting the door so no one walks in while they're fighting. I mean, if
Yeah,
someone
I
comes
got that
out the
part.
window, they're going to know not to go in that building. Like, they're going to be like, oh, they're open. Let's just walk through this window that just a dude flew out of. Like, you know what I mean?
Throwing guys out the window. It looks like fun. Like, that looks like a cheap, fun excursion.
No, what looks like fun is the scene where he has those 6 guys that he's practicing kung fu with, and then after he beats all of them up. I love how they track that one Asian dude. People are flying all around him. Every time he turns around, Black Dynamite's there to beat the shit out of him.
Who's interrupting me during my kung fu?
How many times I tell you not to interrupt my kung fu?
I like that right before he gets the phone call, he beats up all those guys that runs in this really weird way to this place where he has these bricks that he needs to smack.
Like he runs to the corner behind it.
So he hits these bricks. It's so funny. Like he looks like he's scuttling. It's so. And then I love how he like you hear the sound of him breaking some dude's neck, and then after he tells them all to leave, they all walk away. And he goes, same time tomorrow. Like, would you want to go back to a guy who just broke one of your friends' necks? Like, is that like your idea of a good time? I'm just curious. Like, I'm curious.
What are you significantly curious about?
Whether or not, if you were like a random extra in like a movie, like a red shirt that was supposed to fight Kung Fu against Black Dynamite,
Right,
and he
obviously.
broke in, one of your friends next, would you be like, oh yeah, we'll be back tomorrow so you beat the shit out of us some more?
I would be like, and dead. Like, I would be faking death so hard at that point. I would have also retired at this point.
Jen would be like that scene in Austin
Listen,
Powers.
you said my name! No!
Sorry, we'll bleep that out. We'll bleep that out.
Okay.
Ed's wife would be like that scene in Austin Powers where Michael Caine's like, and look at you, you haven't even gotten a name tag. Why don't you just fall down? Go on, fall down.
You know, that's what I actually felt like I was watching last night, was Austin Powers, but with less musical scenes.
With less musical
Much
scenes.
less singing and dancing. Don't you think
Penis
so?
enlargement.
It's like, that was that
It was
feeling.
penis enlargement in this movie, not penis enlargement.
Yes, exactly.
And the reason why is because Austin Powers is white and Black Dynamite is obviously black.
Dynamite.
Would have been better if it was a white guy with a fro. Can we all agree? Can we all agree? The irony.
I refuse to confirm or deny anything Ed's wife has just said. I refuse to do that. Marcus, do you want to give her any leeway on that? I agree.
No, it doesn't really work.
No. So another thing I think is really interesting about the movie is what did you guys think of like its place in like the pantheon of blaxploitation movies? Like, it's obviously homaging and mocking them, but what do you think about how it does that? You know, and how it compares to, like, I mean, I don't think you guys have seen many of them, but I've at least seen like the original Shaft and Foxy Brown with like you know, some of the real classics. Do you think that it does a good job of like recreating those sort of movies?
Well, it's the same theory with Austin Powers and the
all the spy movies, you know,
from
for
Britain.
James Bond.
James Bond.
I want to say yes. It does a great job, but I haven't seen very many of those movies to have a solid, comparison on how well it does in either parodying or mimicking.
I'm not allowed to watch movies that make black people look better than they're supposed to be.
Well, that racism thing's been completely thrown out the window with that last statement.
I'm from Whitesboro.
You got your name, Ed's wife.
I'm kidding. My best friend is black.
Your best friend is not. He's as chai latte as I am, okay?
Chai lattes.
I'm serious, okay? I've never met a black dude whose name is, like from birth, Osama. Like, no. No.
That's true. Yeah, he is Muslim, but,
Nice try, Jan. Nice try.
Nice try. I'm sorry. We can't all have people named. That's the other thing. Did you notice the names of the girls they were talking to when they actually talked to the little girls in the street? Their names are like Lakshima or something like that.
Shaniqua and Shaquanda or something like that.
Like Gloria's like, that's a beautiful name.
That's great. What scene I really like? The scene where Black Dynamite takes Gloria to the like brothel to like hide out while he's like going on his
Oh yeah.
And he's like doing that little thing where he's like, Black Dynamite make everything all right, and that woman like does it. And he's like, Euphoria, shut the fuck up! I ain't gonna let you know you're there. He's like, you're gonna put back on like
we're gonna go back with the hangers, the rusty hangers.
The hot ass go hangers. Would you like that? So and the girl's like in tears, like at the prospect of going back to the streets. It's so funny.
But those girls have been working on their kung fu.
Yeah, just like he told them. And then I think that we have a scene where all of those whores go out and they fight kung fu in the montage.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. When during the clean up the streets montage, you kind of see that they're interfacing with the that big guy who's that mob boss guy, at that some kind of dining ball going on, and you can see them all starting to fight and stuff, like dressed up like waiters and shit.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? We actually see them fighting kung fu in like this singular scene in the movie. That's like really funny to me. I thought that was them, but I wasn't sure because they don't reference it ever again. It's like a split second, and I was like, maybe they're just the bad guys. You know what I mean? So like, I thought that was pretty funny too. That we actually see the whores that were practicing kung fu. Apparently, it turned out pretty well because they did really good.
Yep.
And they were as flexible as we expected them to be.
Yeah.
Yup. So.
Yep.
You guys have any other thoughts? Or, I mean, we can cut this pretty much. I think that we said everything that we could possibly say about that movie. No stone was unspoiled. So.
It's true. It's true. On to Pitch Perfect.
Oh yes, I want to do an episode about that. I absolutely do. Marcus has never seen it, so I need to make him watch it.
God! In 1 year. It's less than a year until the sequel comes out.
Yeah, that's like one of my total guilty pleasure movies. I was actually watching that yesterday at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
But
nothing on, you feel a little sad. Fat Amy, on top of it.
Hey, look, her name is really Fat Patricia, okay?
My name is really Fat Patricia. I want to see the, I guess they cut out a lot of raunchy improv that she and the guy whose character I can't think of right now did between the two of them. Like, there were some really bad things.
Oh, you're talking about, his name's like Boomer or something.
Yeah, Boomer. Yeah, I guess they had a lot of bad, like, even like there were some really bad sex scenes or something that they cut off.
Really? I would love to see more time between him and the really, really awesome Indian dude, because of that scene where they're the like pledge night, and he's like, "Who do you think would win in a fight, Captain America or a great white shark?" And he's like, "Captain America," because I was like, "No, I want to hear the rest of that. Why did you cut that off? Why would Captain America be the great white shark?"
Guys were not given enough screen time.
I think that Indian dude wasn't given enough screen time. If that whole movie was about that Indian dude, I'd be like,
Don't pretend you don't know his name. Don't pretend you don't know his name.
It's Umvesh Ambudikar, I think. I'm mispronouncing that horribly, but that's what his name is. I'm not under any false, I can give you the entire cast of Miss Congeniality. I'm not ashamed of that. You want to know who's in Girls Just Want to Have Fun? I can give you that one, too.
Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Oh, Helen Hunt.
And Sarah Jessica Parker, don't forget.
And Sarah Jessica Parker. Before she looked like a knee.
She's always looked like a knee. Can we at least agree before this podcast ends that the worst thing that ever happened to Matthew Broderick was Sarah Jessica Parker? He used to be so cool.
Agreed.
Yep. Yeah.
How awesome he was in the 80s, and then he married Sarah Jessica Parker and did Godzilla.
Yep.
We mourn.
We mourn your coolness, Matthew Broderick.
I'm just saying, between War Games and Ferris Bueller,
We should put flowers somewhere. There should be a collection.
I'm gonna buy a tombstone for the
Matthew Broderick's career.
Exactly. 1982 to 1990. We hardly knew ye.
Could you imagine if you went like door to door getting collections and people were like, "So are you running for a kid with cancer?" And you're like, "No, Matthew Broderick's career."
Did you guys? Okay, real quickly. Did you guys see the video for? There's this like they were doing this like Night of Too Many Stars, and they made this like little commercial for had Kristen Bell and Christopher Mintz-Plasse, and it was about the McLovin Fund, and about how everything's super bad. He could never land another job.
Yes.
He gave us so much. Why can't we give back? What's up, gangsters?
To this day, I want to like tell people at Panera my name is McLovin so that I will not get up to get my order and they will be forced to call it over the loudspeaker. And the people that work at our Panera are all Bosnian, so it adds a certain specialness to it.
McLovin.
No, you need to give them names that from like Simpsons, like what is it, like
Sideshow Bob.
Oh, not that. Like, remember how Bart always used to call and Crank called the bar with like, I need Amanda Hug and Kiss, like that. Amanda Hug and Kiss. Is there an Amanda Hug and Kiss here? That's what you should do. And then afterwards, the Bosnians will be like, "Why are you little? I'm gonna wring your neck." You can turn them all into Moses Lex. That's what you should do.
Yeah. See, most people already believe I have a fake name, so it's not even, like, people laugh. I'll say my name, and people are like, "Is that really your name?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no." My parents didn't do it to me. My husband did.
It's all your fault, Ed.
Yeah.
You're to blame for everything. What's the reason why Spider-Man sucked? Edward Ben. Anyways, so we're going to cut this short before we devolve into self-parody. So I want to thank Ed and Ed's wife once again for joining us, whose name will be bleeped because she did not feel you guys were privy to actually hear her name.
I don't know. I don't know what kind of viewing this has.
None.
Like between your moms? I don't know.
Hey.
Keep the mystery alive.
Listen, right? If you weren't in an isolated part of upstate New York, you hear people like screaming their joy for the real podcast, okay? We have quite a following in Eastern Croatia, all right?
Indeed.
I'm pretty sure there's one island that's part of the Philippines that thinks we're the bee's knees too.
Is it Kung Fu Island?
The fiendish Dr. Wu subscribes to the Real Podcast. No, seriously though, I want to thank you guys for taking some time to talk to us about this, and I promise that we will do a Pitch Perfect episode. I have to educate Marcus, but first we're going to watch a documentary on spelling bees, so if you'll excuse us. It was our pleasure to talk about Black Dynamite. We hope you guys enjoyed what we had to say and our attempts to break the glass ceiling, feeble as they might have been. Any last words before you're never seen nor heard from again?
No, thanks for having us.
Thanks for warning us about the assassins.
What assassins?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Bye.
We've already said too much.